Good evening, Tulis. Today we are playing Dracotail Regenesis, and let me tell you, this deck is really fun. It is also pretty strong. I never reached a master rank before, but I reached master rank with this deck specifically. So yeah, it is quite good. I mean, Dracotail by itself is good, of course, right? So yeah, now you might be wondering, right, what exactly is the synergy between Dracotail and the Regenesis? Because Regenesis is not a fusion based deck, right? Because if you look at a lot of Dracotail variants, most of them are, almost all of them, I would say, are paired with another fusion based deck. For example, something like Branded, or maybe like Artesia, or maybe like Dragonmaid, right? Or even something like Shadow, or some even play something like King of the Swamp to go into the Dragon, right? Regenesis is not a fusion based deck, so how does the synergy work between the Dracotail and the Regenesis? Well, first of all, Regenesis is a free interaction. So for example, if we have the Artalion, which has a 2500 defense here, we can just summon our warrior or our dragon, because it requires a monster with 2500 attack or defense on the field, which we have Artalion, which we always want to summon Artalion, right? We can have spell trap negate, spell trap banishment, and we also have the monster bounce, right? Or if we have something like a 5 mana in hand, and we have the Archfiend, which we always want to have 5 mana in our hand, right? We always want to search 5 mana, so getting this is not difficult at all. We can summon Archfiend by refilling our 5 mana in hand, and then Archfiend can search for our Sage, and then we can summon our Sage, and we get an Omni Negate from that. And there are not much place that our opponent can hand trap us in our Regenesis play. The most part probably is to Ash the Archfiend, or Failure the Archfiend, or maybe Imperm the Archfiend, right? But even if they do that, it is also fine, because it means that our Rahu is safe from the Ash, or maybe our Lucius or Mululu is safe from the Imperm or Failure, right? So yeah, it can our Regenesis works as a free interaction, or even as a bait, right? So it is really nice that in that aspect. And then the second reason with Regenesis is because of the 5 mana itself. We know this card is probably one of our best card in our deck, right? This is our turn 0 play. It is a hand trap where you can do a quick fusion on your opponent's turn. Now, in paper, it is really good because it allows us to do a turn 0 play, right? The problem that I almost always encounter when I play this card, it doesn't feel great to play this card as a turn 0 play. And the reason for that is because first of all, we discard the 5 mana, right? We discard the 5 mana, and then we use 2 monster in our hand as a material to do fusion summon, which means we use 3 cards for a single interaction. Unless that one interaction is really impactful, then it is almost not great. Like, it is almost always not great to use this card as a turn 0 play. So this is where Regenesis comes in. So if we have Regenesis in our hand and 5 mana, right, all of the Regenesis have this effect where during your opponent's end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, you can add this card to your hand, which means that if we use our Regenesis as a material for the 5 mana, we don't really care much, because we will get our Regenesis back to our hand on the end phase anyway, right? So for example, if we have 5 mana, and then probably something like Archfiend, right? Archfiend, and then maybe the other one is something like Mululu, or maybe like Urkula, or even something like Lucius, which is fine. We can use 5 mana to go. We can use 5 mana to go into, I don't know, probably something like Artalion, right? We can use Artalion to summon our Lucius, and by using Lucius and Archfiend, and then we can return 2 card. We can return our 5 mana from the graveyard and 1 monster our opponent's on our opponent's turn, and then at the end phase we can return our Archfiend back to our hand, right? So we only lose 1 Lucius from that, which is pretty good, I would say, -1. Or we can also just return the Lucius, so we can summon Lucius on our turn to get another Dracotail monster. We have more choice with that. So yeah, that is basically the reason why we play Regenesis here. First of all, because it is a free interaction, it can also act as a bait. It is also a free material for your turn 0 play basically. So yeah, this is our deck. The Dracotail ratio is probably just the standard one. We have 3 Mululu, 3 Lucias. This is our normal summon, and then we have 3 Vaimena, 3 Ketu, and 3 Rahu, right? Just the standard one, and then we have 1 Urgula and 2 Pan. This part you can probably customize by yourself, whatever you want. And then for the Regenesis part, we have 3 Archfiend, 2 Dragon, 1 Sage, and 1 Warrior. Now, I see some people put this one, the Regenesis spell, because this card search for any Regenesis. I don't like putting this. This is not great in our Dracotail deck because Dracotail by itself doesn't really like a spell or trap card, right? We don't like spell or trap. We always prefer to have a monster on our hand, not a spell. So I don't put any of our Regenesis spell. So, and that's also why we also not putting the Lord, because we don't have a lot of way to search for the Lord. So yeah. Other than that, we put 2 Dragon because this is Dracotail. Having Dragon is always good. And then I also add Sage. Usually if you play Regenesis as an engine, Sage is not really recommended because getting Sage with another Regenesis is difficult. And yes, it is difficult. I often draw Sage only without other Regenesis, but in this case it is still fine because Regenesis is a spellcaster, which means we can use Sage as a material for Mysterion and the Secretariat, right? So yeah, this is the reason why I put Sage. If you don't feeling Sage, you can just not use it, but I think having Sage is still important in this deck. And then other than that, we have the Magnamut. This can search for our Dracotail, specifically the Mululu if you do not have them in hand, right? Or if you have our Dracotail name already, we can search for our Regenesis Dragon, which is also good. And then we also have the Super Poly. Super Poly is pretty nice, I would say, especially with the current with the current format where there is Yummy, right? We can use a Super Poly, which is also pretty good. And then other than that, we have the 3 Dracotail Trap. I love having 3 of this. I don't think 2 is good enough, right? So yeah, I love having 3 of this. Some people only play 2, but whatever, I guess. Other than that, it's just the hand traps. You can customize it however you want. We have 2 Maxi, of course. It is the best card in the Yu-Gi-Oh right now. And then we also have the Flawless. Flawless is pretty good right now because there is Yummy. In the previous format, when our I would say the strongest deck is probably Dracotail, Flawless is not really great against Dracotail, but now there is Yummy. I put 3 Flawless in this deck. And then other than that, we have the Failure. I only have 1 Failure. If you have multiple Failure, I think Failure is good in this deck, specifically because it is spellcaster again, right? It is spellcaster, so it is another way to get into our Secretarion and Mysterion. And then we also have the Ghost Mourner. Again, you can just change it with whatever you have in your yeah, whatever you have, whatever card that you have as your hand trap, I guess. So yeah, that is our deck. And then our extra deck, we have of course the Gulamel and the Artalion. I put 2 Gulamel because I met a lot of Kastira, and having my Gulamel banish is not really great. So I put 2 Gulamel here, and then of course we have the Mysterion and Secretarion. We only need 1 of those, and then we also have the Chaos Star Source Dragon and then the Filiarekis. Now, funnily enough, I forget to put Filiarekis until the end, I forget Filiarekis for a long time, so I just put it lately. But at the same time, I never actually use this since I put it, but I think this is still useful because it is a interaction anyway, right? And then other than that, we have the Super Poly target, which is of course the Mudragon and the Garura. And then other than that, we also have the this one, Word Chalice. This is to cover something like Malice if it is still in the format. It is definitely still in format. I don't met a lot of Malice, but this is still a good way to cover Malice. And then we also have the Patishel. I don't know how to pronounce this card. It requires 2 Pendulum monsters, so we can Super Poly something like, especially since we have just received the Solva Court support and DDD support, right? those are pendulum deck. I mean, Sophacord doesn't end in pendulum monster, but I guess Sophacord doesn't end in a pendulum. Doesn't end with pendulum monster, but I think DDD still end with pendulum monster. So yeah, this can cover something like that. Other than that, we also have the IP and SP. I don't think this is useful at all. You can change it with something like the the Herald Seal of Hieratic of Heavenly Sphere or something. This one, Hieratic Seal of Heavenly Spheres. Yeah, this is a UR, but you can get this in a structure pack, I believe. Yeah, in the Dragon Maid cell structure you can get this, and then you may also add something like the what is the blue eyes, the Spirit Blink one. I believe it is SR. Where is it? This one. Spirit with Eyes of Blue. This is it requires 1 level 4 or lower dragon or spellcaster monster. So if you end with something like Lucius on your field, you can summon the the Spirit using Lucius and then using Spirit to go into the seal. This one, right? So yeah, it is another option for your extra deck. So this is our deck, and let's see how this performs. Alright, our first replay here, and we have 3 Regenesis named in our opening hand, which is really nice because again, Regenesis is a free interaction. We have an Omni-Negate, we have a Spell Trap Banishment, we have a Monster Bounce, and we just need to make an Artalion to our field, which we do here using the Lucius and Pergula. And Artalion will return our 5 mana pack. This is just the usual Dracotail lines. Lucius and Urgula will activate from the graveyard to set our spell and trap. We set our Rahu and then our trap, and we return our 5 mana back to the hand. Right, and then we activate Rahu to go into Gulamel using 5 mana in hand and Pan from the deck. And the reason why we are using Pan here because it has graveyard effect. So in case our fusion monster here gets destroyed, we can summon other Dracotail monster from the graveyard, right? And then we set the rest of our trap to our field, and then Urgula will return our 5 mana back to the hand. And then here we just summon all of our Regenesis to our board. And it is important to summon the stage first because in case our opponent is Nibiru, we can negate it, right? So yeah, our opponent is on Lunalight. Now I don't really know how Lunalight works, and I think I made a lot of misplay here because I don't really understand how this works. Our opponent use a Lunalight Perfume to summon the Black Shape and Kaleido Chick into Perfume Dancer, and here our opponent do a lot of stuff, and I think I activate Sting here because they will return their Kaleido Chick using the Black Shape, and I don't like them getting a Kaleido Chick. So yeah, I'm using Sting here to banish the Kaleido Chick and the Lunalight Perfume, which I think it is a mistake. I should probably banish the Polymerization because I think Lunalight only play 1 Polymerization, right? So they don't have anything else, and I don't think they can return Polymerization from the banishment pack. So yeah, I should probably banish the Polymerization, but I mean, they also have a lot of ways to fusion, I think. So I think it is still fine. And here we are using Horn against our Perfume Dancer and return them to the deck, and we throw a Maxi, which is really nice, right? So we use our Maxi, and our opponent does not have any option but to play into Maxi because if they do not play into Maxi, they don't have anything in their board, and we can just kill them in the next turn. So here our opponent used the Kaleido Chick to send the Leo Dancer, and we are using our Warrior to return the Kaleido Chick back to the hand because we don't want them to fusion using the Kaleido Chick. But I think that is a mistake. I think I should return the Kaleido Chick when they use Polymerization, so now they waste Polymerization, yeah, right? But I think it's still fine. Our opponent activate Black Shape and keep Silverhound in the graveyard to summon the Leo Dancer, and we draw a bunch of cards here. One of the cards that we draw is the Dragon, which is really nice because now we can use both of this effect. We can send the Dragon from the hand instead of the one in the field, right? And this is the card that we need to remove because this allows them to fusion summon using monster from the graveyard as a material, right? And it is really important that we are not allowing them to fusion using the Leo Dancer in the graveyard. They still have the pendulum to fusion summon by banishing from the graveyard, but we do still have the Sage, and it is important that we use Sage here, not the Flame, because they have multiple ways to return monster from their field to the hand, like this, right? And they can use the wolf again, right? So yeah, our opponent, I believe it is time limit, right? But it's not like our opponent have anything else, and we still have some interaction here. We still have Flame, we still have the Kulamel, right? And we also have some cards that we throw, something like Failure. We still have not used Failure, and we also use Skullmeister. It is early when I still use Skullmeister, which is also really good. So yeah, that is how our deck perform. It is really Regenesis really provides free interaction if you have them in your hand, right? So yeah, let's go into the next replay. Alright, here we do not get any Regenesis card in our opening hand, but it's still fine. It is still Dracotail anyway, right? And we also have 2 Super Poly in our hand, which is pretty good. So yeah, we start with Lucius and then we go into Rahu. Unfortunately, our opponent has Maxi here, so I guess we're just going into Artalion and then pass. Now, I see a lot of people just push through when they get Maxi when playing Dracotail. I don't really like that though. Like, I don't think adding a single Kulamel is worth it for a single throw against our opponent, because Kulamel is only a card destruction, right? It is only card destruction against a single throw that can be anything. So yeah, usually if I get Maxi like this, I just go into Artalion and then should set some traps and then just pass here. So yeah, that's our setup. We still have Super Poly and the Cosmorner, so we might be fine here. Our opponent is also on Dracotail, and they go into Secretarian Dragon using the Urkula and Lucius from the hand. They use Urkula, which means our trap will be destroyed probably, right? And here I activate Horn because I don't really love the Secretarian effect to summon from the graveyard because it gives them a lot of advantages. And here we throw a Dragon, and our opponent probably will destroy our Flame, right? And they set Cat2 and Rahu. And yeah, here we activate 5 mana because we want to go into Urkula and chain and destroy one of our opponent's spell. But our opponent have called by the grave, so it is unfortunate, but it is what it is, right? The one of called by negate our 5 mana, and then our opponent activates Cat2 to search for Frixel. Our opponent is on Frixel, which means they are on Branded Dracotail, right? Because I believe the only Dracotail variant that use the Frixel is the Branded. They special summon Lucius from the graveyard to search Pan from the deck, and then they use Rahu to summon Artalion using Mululu, Pan, and Frixel from the hand. They use Artalion using 2 materials from the hands, which means they can bounce 2 cards, which they target our Artalion and their Maxi. This is the one thing that I really don't like about Dracotail. Their ability to recycle Maxi is really annoying. Fortunately, we have the Cosmorner, right? We use Cosmorner to stop our opponent's Artalion, and yeah. And then our opponent still set a lot of traps in their back row. And our opponent placed 3 of the trap, I believe, here. Right, yeah. They set the Flame, Horn, and Sting. And then they also destroy our Artalion, and then we negate their Artalion. Then they already have Branded in their hand, Branded Fusion, which yeah, that's pretty good. They go into Sanctifier using the Albas and the Failure from the deck. And the reason why they use Failure there is because Frixel is already on their hand, right? Frixel is already on their hand, so they use a Failure. This is also why a Failure is really good in the Dracotail deck, especially in the Branded Dracotail, right? Because it is light spellcaster, but also even if it's not in the Branded Dracotail, it is still good because it is a spellcaster. So yeah, this is our opponent. They go into battle phase. They try to attack using the Artalion. And here we are using a Super Poly. I believe this is a mistake from me, and the reason why this is a mistake because I forget that I have this card in the banishment from the called by, right? I should just wait for our opponent to attack. It is not lethal anyway. we can wait until the end and then we use Super Poly to fusion the Secretarian, and then in the next turn our opponent cannot use the Albion to summon Alpas from the graveyard, right? So yeah, it is a bit of misplay, but it is fine. We return our dragon that we discarded to our hand. This is the main reason that we use Regenesis in the first place, right? We summon Regenesis, the Regenesis dragon, for the main purpose to banish our opponent's flame. Now our opponent here immediately activates Sanctifier, which I don't think it is correct at all. If they do not activate Sanctifier here, we do not have any play. And here, even here, right, even if we do not have Super Poly, I don't think it benefit our opponent to do fusion here, to do Alpas here, because what will discard fusion with, right? If they fusion with the Lucius, it is not really great, because now I get to set a spell from our deck. And if they want to use the dragon, it is impossible, because when they activate the Alpas, I will immediately chain dragon to banish our opponent's flame anyway. So yeah, and they also summon our Mourner, which I don't know why. Is there any Fallen of Alpas with win? This warrior, 6 monster, Despia, effect monster special summon this turn. Maybe they can go into Sprine during your main phase, during the end phase. I don't think it is useful though. Sprine, 1 level 8, no. Titanic Cloud, no. Yeah, there is no good target for them to fusion summon here. So yeah, I don't think this is a correct move, but they do anyway. So they use the Fallen Albas to by discarding the 5 mana, because 5 mana is useless, because they called by our 5 mana last turn, right? So we chain with Super Poly, and then we use our opponent Albas and our own Lucius to go into Mysterion, and here we activate Lucius from the graveyard, and our opponent activate Artalion from the graveyard, which again I don't think this is a correct move, because now since we have Mysterion, we can target our opponent's Artalion, banish them, and also banish the Sanctifier, because this is dragon, right? Both of them are dragon. So yeah, and then we chain with the Regenesis dragon to banish our opponent's flame. Our opponent immediately chain to Sting to banish the dragon and our flame, which I think is fine. Banishing dragon doesn't achieve anything though, but banishing the flame definitely helps, I would say. So yeah, and they summon the Artalion, and of course we activate the Mysterion to banish the Artalion, and since Sanctifier will be banished if they don't do anything, they are forced to activate the Horn to their own Artalion, right? But the Artalion here cannot go into the extra deck, because the condition where they are special summoned from the graveyard makes it go into the banishment, so they do not draw anything from Horn, right? So we use Urkula to return our Lucius. We summon Lucius search for Pan, and then we use Ketu to go into 5 mana. We cannot fusion using 5 mana, but we can still search it and keep it for the next turn, right? We search 5 mana, and then we fuse using Lucius and Pan, and then Pan will destroy the Sanctifier, and yeah, our opponent just surrender, because our opponent doesn't have anything, right? So yeah, that's the replay, and then let's go into the next one. Alright, we already seen when we go first, right? So this time we go second against Mitsurugi, and our opponent starts with Ritual summoning from the deck, and we immediately ash them, because I don't really love them summoning from the deck, but our opponent has a Called By, which sure, I guess we don't have anything else to respond to, so we just let our opponent do their part. Let's just speed it up. I believe this is Mitsurugi Yummy. They tribute the Habakiri from the hand to summon Murakumo from the deck, and then they activate Habakiri to search for Prayer, and then they activate Prayer by tributing the Murakumo to search for Kusanagi, and then special summoning Kusanagi to return their... What do they return though? Ritual? Okay, they return the Ritual, and then they use Murakumo from the graveyard to search for another Prayer, summoning Murakumo. And then they use both of them to go into Camellia. So this is, yeah, Mitsurugi Yami using Camellia to send the Hornet Drone, I believe. and then go into Kakari. Kakari return the Hornetron from the graveyard, activate Hornetron to summon a token, and then they can go into Kapsi Yummy, I believe. Yeah. They go into Kapsi Yummy way to search for 2 monsters, which they go into Kapsi and Marshmallow, and they discard one, which they discard Flawless because it doesn't do anything. They summon Kapsi to search for the surprise, and then they summon Marshmallow into Snatchy, and then place the minion from the deck, and then they go into Lollipo. Lollipo summon the Snatchy and the Marshmallow, and then using the tree to go into Samsara, and then go into Heart of the Arclight, and then go into Sprite Elf. I don't know why. I don't think Sprite Elf is actually useful though, but like, sure, I guess. And they go into Surprise, summoning Marshmallow, and then Marshmallow will return the surprise to the hand. And they go into IP using the rest of the synchro, and then they go into Thrust, and then set the talent. Okay, this is our opponent full port. This is just full Yummy Mitsuruki and port. We know this is talent. This is probably one of this is surprise, and one of this is the prayer, right? And their hand is Mitsuruki ritual that they take from the graveyard, right? If I remember correctly. And they have Herald of the Arclight, which is really annoying for Dracotail because any monster sent from the hand or main deck to the graveyard is banished instead. So whenever we want to do a fusion summon, they will be banished instead, so we do not get any effect from the graveyard. So the only out, if you are playing Dracotail and your opponent is playing Yummy, the only out to Arclight is Mululu. This is the only card that this is the only out against Yummy, because this card will fusion from the field, right? You summon this card, and then you fusion using this card from the field, and then since this card is fusion from the field, then it will go into the graveyard, so we can get our Mululu effect. And since it is sent to the graveyard, Mululu will since Mululu activates from the graveyard, it can negate the Arclight effect basically, right? So the only out, if you don't have any hand trap and you go against full port Yummy, the only out I believe is only Mululu, unless you have some port breaker in your deck, which I don't recommend because Dracotail doesn't really love spell or trap in the deck, right? So yeah, we get Failure, which is really useless, but I guess we can use it as a material. We normal summon Mululu, and then they chain with the Sprite Elf, and then they chain into IP. Now again, Mululu is our only out, so our opponent should just Arclight our Mululu. Like they should negate our Mululu at all costs, right? Because that is our only out to everything here. Now they might think that, okay, if they use Arclight here, then the floodgate, they lose the floodgate, and if we have some like Femena or anything, we can push through, right? But that's not the case. Again, Mululu will be sent to the graveyard, and Mululu will negate the Arclight, right? And here we are going into Arcalion by using Mululu and Failure from the hand because we don't need them. And this is the important part, is we always chain link one Mululu and chain link to Arcalion, right? And we're not worried about Coldplay because our opponent used Coldplay in the previous turn, right? Chain link one Mululu, chain link to Arcalion, because we never want to have our Mululu negated, right? We never want to have our Mululu negated, and they still have an Omni negate here. So yeah, we chain link one Mululu, chain link to Arcalion, targeting the Kapsi. No, the Lollipo, right? We target the Lollipo here, and here our opponent has a trigger effect, which is the SP. SP has trigger effect because it is summoned. Now, I don't know, maybe our opponent is not familiar with the trigger window of the Master Duel, because they might think that they only have SP that can be activated, but they don't. What they should do here is to not chain SP. So here they chain SP, right? Because it is the trigger. What they should do is they should not chain SP, but rather they should chain Lollipo, right? They should chain Lollipo to go into the Kapsi and the the Snatchy, right? Because I don't want this card to they don't want to lose this card basically. But I think they might not be familiar with the Master Duel window, so yeah, that's good for me, I guess. Our opponent activate SP to banish Artalion, we don't care at all, and then we activate Mululu to set our Ketu, and then Mululu negate our opponent Arclight, which is really good. So now we can do anything, anything that we want. We use Ketu, and then our opponent use SP to banish both Arclight and the SP, which is probably okay because they can have the Arclight next turn, and then they don't have it is not negated because it is after banishment, right? So here we are using Urkula and 5 mana to go into Kulamel, and then we activate Kulamel to target one of our opponent's spell. It is apparently the prayer here, and then they immediately also activate the surprise, which I guess it is what it is, right? It is what it is. Our opponent summon Marshmallow, and then summon the Murakumo. Murakumo will wipe our board, which is still fine. Kulamel can still special summon itself from the graveyard anyway, right? So here we set our Rahu and destroy the Talon, because I mean Talon will be annoying next turn, so we need to destroy that. And then our opponent activate Murakumo, activate Marshmallow to summon to return the surprise. I think here they should not summon the Marshmallow, but rather the Kapsi, right? I think they should summon Kapsi and then get another monster for the follow up. And then here we activate our what we activate with what? Oh, we activate Urkula to return 5 mana to our hand, and our opponent chain with the Murakumo, which is sure. We discard our dragon because I don't think we will ever summon the dragon this turn. So here we are going into another Artalion using the Pan from the hand, and then Lucius from the graveyard, and then yeah, Pan I believe will destroy the Murakumo. And then we set our flame, we set our horn, I believe. Right, yeah. Set our horn, and then we get back our Kulamel to the field, and then we battle, and then yeah. And I believe we will use flame. There are two targets for flame, which is for surprise and prayer, I believe, right? It can also go in for the minion. But our opponent have a Herald here, right? So we need to make sure our game plan here to make sure our opponent do not get into any synchro 2, right? Again, whenever you go into Yummy, you don't want your opponent to get into the synchro 2, because then they can just combo off as they want. So here I want to flame the surprise, but if I do that, our opponent will immediately use the Omni Negate from the Arclight, right? So here I'm using the Sting. My idea here is to banish either the Kapsi or the Yummy. Which, wait, what did they target? Special summon one Yummy. Oh no, they do not target. So here we are using Sting to target the Kapsi and the prayer. I don't think the prayer really matters though. I guess it is still fine. I don't think the ritual is in their hand. Okay, so yeah, we banish their Kapsi because we don't want them to get access to their another card from the deck, right? We don't want to give them access to another monster. Our opponent chain with the SP, and then we chain into Horn to return the SP. This is if our opponent play Link monster, especially SP, and you do Dracotail, Horn always chain into SP. It's always right. We Horn into SP, and then I believe our opponent here go into Herald, which I think they are forced to do that, because if they do not do that, then we can just use Kulamel to target the Herald, or maybe even target the minion, which is still okay for us. And since our opponent has already used their Herald, here we are using our Flame to go to hit our opponent's surprise. And since our opponent do not have anything else, we use Kulamel to hit our opponent minion, basically, right? So yeah, that is going second against full board Yummy Mitsu, really nice, right? So yeah, let's go to the next replay. Alright, here we go first, and our opening hand is really good. We have Rahu, Ketu, Archfiend, and also the Magnamut. Here we start with Ketu and search our 5 mana, and then we refill our 5 mana to summon the Archfiend. Archfiend will search for Sage, and then we get our Omni Negate on the board. Right, and then we summon Mululu, and then using Mululu we go into Artalion by using the Magnamut in our hand. And here we are using Artalion to return our Magnamut. This is a check for effect failure or the imperm. Right, our Mululu set for the flame because we have all of the spell that we need. We return our Magnamut. There is no failure, there is no imperm, which is cool. We use Rahu to go into Kulamel by using the 5 mana in our hand and Urkula in our deck. Then the 5 mana and Urkula will set the rest of our trap, and then Urkula will return our 5 mana back to the hand. This is also a check for spell, ghost spell, right? If our opponent has spell here, we still have the Sage to negate it, which is still okay. You might be wondering, if we use the Sage, then we don't have any Omni Negate in our opponent's turn. We still have them because we have Magnamut here, right? We can special summon Magnamut by using the Mululu from our graveyard, banishing Mululu, and then Magnamut in our end phase will search for a Regenesis Dragon, right? But our opponent doesn't have a spell here, so it is fine. We just summon our Magnamut, and again, this is our 5th summon. If our opponent actually our 5th summon is Kulamel, right? This is also a check for Nibiru. We can also use our Sage against our Nibiru, and we can search for Regenesis Dragon in our end phase, but our opponent doesn't have anything to respond that, so here we just search for Pan because it can also be for a monster destruction. So yeah, this is our endboard. This is probably one of the best endboard that we can make in this deck, right? We have all the trap, we have Kulamel, we have the Artalion, we have 5 mana in hand, and we also have an Omni Negate in the field, right? So let's see what our opponent is on. They start with Millennium. I don't really understand where to interrupt our opponent actually, so kinda just let them be. This is also something that I consider, right? Are they playing Exodia or maybe something else using Millennium Engine? So I kinda just want to wait what they are doing. They go into Wachu Temple, and then they use this 2 to go into SP. Right, they go into SP. I don't really understand why also actually. It seems our opponent is on Tearlament, so they activate Tearlament, Shiren from the hand, and of course we always want to negate Shiren from the hand because it is a lot of advantage, right? Not only you special summon this card, and then you send 1 card from the hand to the graveyard, which for Tearlament it is really good, and it also mill 3 cards, which is, again, we don't really want our opponent to mill cards to their graveyard, right? So here our opponent respond with SP, targeting the Kulamel, and of course we horn the SP. This is something that we always plan when our opponent summon SP. We always know that horn will chain into SP. We return our Mululu to the deck and throw 1 card, and fortunately we throw Ash, which is really good for us. Our opponent activates Shiren from the graveyard, and of course we always think Shiren or Hafnis from the graveyard because they fusion summon using itself as material, including this card from your graveyard. So if we banish this, then their effect fizzle. But our opponent chain with Kashtira Tearlament, which also banish the Shiren, which is fine by us, right? Our opponent tries to mill using the Kashtira, but we have the Ash here, which is really nice. We don't want them to finish to mill cards. Here our opponent used the Wachu to go into the Doom Dragon. Our opponent tries to put our Kulamel into our field zone, and we immediately chain into our 5 mana, mainly because we also want to use Kulamel to destroy the Doom Dragon, but also we also want to use Kulamel as a material for fusion. And here we are going into Mysterion, I believe, because I don't think Secretarian doesn't do anything for us because our opponent doesn't have a Dragon or the Spellcaster. Here we go into Mysterion because yeah, Mysterion is still good for us. Our opponent apparently have a Rhinoheart, so it is actually pretty good for them, but at the same time we have Mysterion. This is why we have Mysterion on our field. Our opponent send a Hafnis, right? Hafnis will fusion summon using monster on their graveyard and field as material by shuffling them to the deck, and they will definitely fusion a Kid Kalos, right? And the thing is, Kid Kalos is an aqua, and then Hafnis is also aqua. So when they summon Kid Kalos, our Mysterion will banish the Kid Kalos, and yeah. So and then they don't have anything anyway. So yeah, I guess this is like one of the best start that we can have. Let's go to the next replay. Alright, we go second and we do have Fualos, which is really nice, and our opponent is on Yummy. They start with a Piri Rise map to search for Kapsi and half their life point, and then they normal summon their Kapsi, and then Kapsi activate, and we immediately use Fua here because our opponent will definitely go into the Snatchy, the link one, and our opponent will search for the surprise, of course, right? And here our opponent go into Snatchy and we got a single throw. Now usually when Yummy is under something like Fua, they just go into Snatchy, get Minion will return their Kapsi, and then they pass from there. So here we activate our failure to negate our opponent Kapsi, our opponent Snatchy I mean, and our opponent have Troll and Lockbird, so we do not get any more throw, which is not great for us. But at the same time, okay, I want to say that if they do not have any extender there, it's kinda whatever. But I guess if they do not have extender, they will not summon. They will not use the troll. They will not use the troll. So they do have Marshmallow, and we don't have any more interaction, which means our opponent will definitely get a Herald of the Arclight, which is not great for us. That is the one card that will kinda invalidate a lot of our play because we need our monster to go into the graveyard. So I think with the card that we have right now, the best thing that we can do is using Rahu and go into the Artalion, right? Use Rahu and go into the Artalion by using the Dragon in our hand and probably any other Dracotail in the deck, and then Artalion will try to return the Herald or using Warrior to return the Herald, but we throw our out, which is the Mululu here, and we activate Mululu, and our opponent does not negate it, which I don't think it is correct. I think you should always negate Mululu using Herald, because if you do not negate it here, then your Herald will just become useless basically, right? So here we summon Artalion, and it is always Artalion because we want to block the Mululu, chain block the Mululu. We always channeling one Mululu and channeling to Artalion, right? Yeah. And then here our opponent activate the trigger, the Kapsi, the Snatchy to get the Kroki, and then also throw one card, and then we return their Sprite Elf. And here we set our Ketu, and our opponent activated a Kroki to special summon from the deck to summon the Cookie, and then they immediately go into Synchro, going into Kapsi. Kapsi will search for a Lolipo. Lolipo will be discarded because they want a Lolipo in circulation, and they will also destroy our Ketu using the Kroki, which is fine because we still have Rahu and we can get Ketu next time. And here they search for Lolipo and discard Lolipo as I said before, and we immediately summon our Warrior, and apparently our opponent throw a Maxi, which is fine I guess. Yeah, our opponent immediately activate Kapsi and go into Cookie and Snatchy when we activate our Rahu. And here we fusion summon into Gulamel using Urkula from the deck and the 5 mana from the hand. And the reason why we go for Urkula here because we want to make sure we can get 5 mana back to our hand. Maybe since we know our opponent is summoning Cookie, summon using Pan might be better because we can summon another monster from the graveyard, right? I think that is a bit of misplay, but I think that's fine. And this is something that I don't understand. They know that we are using Urkula and we activate Urkula, and they do not activate the surprise. Maybe they want to have Lolipo effect from the Synchro monster, but I don't think they can even do that because we will always use our Warrior against our opponent's Snatchy when they activate their effect, right? So yeah, we are under Maxi and our opponent's attack life point is only 3900, so we kind of want to just kill our opponent in this turn and let them throw whatever I guess. And here our opponent activates Snatchy, and again we activate our Warrior to return the Snatchy back to the extra deck because that's what we will always do, right? Now they do not have any tuner in their field, so they cannot do Synchro summon. and we destroy the Kapsi using the pan, of course, and then we set to the traps for the following turn. But we do have little here, but yeah, we still have some backup plan in case our opponent have something stupid like a battle feather or something. That's a very that's kinda not kinda impossible, but sometimes it kinda happen. So we still have Flame and Sting in our back row. Sting will definitely be used against our opponent, something like Surprise or maybe like Marshmallow. Or maybe like something like Snatchy is also good, right? And then the Flame here will negate our opponent minion in the next turn, basically, right? But we do not need to do that because we can kill our opponent this turn. So let's go to the final replay. Alright, this is our final replay. This is my promotion game from the diamond to the master rank. So I guess I should include this, right? I should. So we start with 5 mana and we have a lot of Dracotail in our hand. Our opponent tries to Fua us and we have Ash in our hand, fortunately. So yeah, we Ash our opponent's Fua and our opponent doesn't have Maxi, which is really good for us. And we go into Artalion. I believe this is just the usual the usual Dracotail line. We use Artalion to return our 5 mana and our Ash, and then we activate the Pan and Lucius to set our Rahu and Ketu, I believe. And then we return our 5 mana and our Ash back to our hand. And here we are using our Rahu. I believe we want to go into the Gulamel and then just call it a day, I guess. But our opponent have an Ash here to stop our Rahu, which is okay because we still have Mululu in our hand. And this is the reason why I'm not using Mululu to summon Artalion, because if they have something like Failure or Imperm here, we will lose a lot of stuff from our graveyard. So I want to keep Mululu in hand just in case, right? So here we are summoning Gulamel using Mululu by using Urkula and 5 mana as material. We set the Sting and the Flame, and then we use Urkula to return 5 mana to the hand, and then we end our turn. This is pretty good. We have Gulamel, we have the Mululu to fusion summon, we also have 5 mana, we also have 2 traps. Our opponent is on the Mitsurugi. They activate Habakiri to summon the Sachi. Sachi will search for ritual, and we Ash here because frankly I don't like them to get access to the ritual, right? We don't want them to get access to the ritual, so we Ash the Sachi here, which is really nice. So even if they have the even if they have prayer and tribute the Habakiri, we can sting the Habakiri, so they still do not get access to the to the ritual, right? So here our opponent summon Kapsi. So our opponent is on Yummy Mitsu, which I don't know. I guess we can just try to survive. I think our goal here is to not allow our opponent to get into the synchro 2, level 2 synchro, right? Our opponent activate minion, and here we Flame here because we don't really have a lot of target for Flame. The only target for Flame is either the minion or the Surprise that our opponents add there, right? Whether Surprise or minion, both of them has the same effect, which is to summon Yummy from the graveyard. So I guess either way we similarly prevent our opponent to get Yummy from the graveyard. So yeah, we Flame here and our opponent use prayer by tributing the Habakiri, which doesn't really matter because we still have Sting, as we said before, right? It doesn't matter what card they search or if they summon anything. And then our opponent chain the Surprise and we immediately chain the 5 mana. This is probably my biggest mistake because what I want to do is to chain Gulamel and destroy the Snatchy, but here our opponent still have Maxi in hand. What I should do here is to chain the Mululu first and then chain the 5 mana. That is what I should do, not 5 mana first, because even if Mululu have because if we activate Mululu, right, and then our opponent chain Maxi, we can still activate 5 mana, and then we can chain Gulamel because our opponent doesn't have anything else to chain, and then we can destroy the Snatchy, right? So this is a big mistake from me, but we can still go on, I guess. So the chain resolve, Maxi activate, and then we use the Artalion and Gulamel to go into the Mysterion. And the reason for this is because I want to keep a single fusion on our field, right? And then we return Lucius to get our Fua, to draw one card, which we get Fua. I don't think it really matters, but I guess it's still fine because we can use Mululu, right? And then minion is negated, and here we immediately use Mululu to go into Artalion, and we want to return the Snatchy back to extra deck, right? And here we activate 5 mana and activate the Mululu in our graveyard. And we also activate Gulamel to special summon Gulamel. The reason we want to special summon Gulamel is because we still want to destroy anything that they have. It is a bit dilemmatic though, because we give a lot of draw to our opponent, and we kinda hope that our opponent doesn't throw any extender. Here our opponent go into Camellia, which again not really great for us because Camellia can send Hornetron, and then Hornetron they can go into Kakari, take the Hornetron back, and then they can use Hornetron to get into token, and then they go into the Synchro 2. So here we immediately go into Artalion, and since our opponent doesn't have anything, we activate Gulamel into Camellia. So now our opponent cannot go into the Kakari line. We give our opponent another single draw, and our opponent doesn't have anything, fortunately. So yeah, this is our promotion game. Really nice, I would say. There is a bit of misplay, but I guess it is still good enough to win the game. So yeah, that is the game. That is all the replay. It's really fun to play this deck. It's really nice. It is also powerful enough to, I guess, I wouldn't say something like to cruise through everything. I still lose a couple of times, but it is still nice. It is still a nice deck, very fun. So yeah, that's all I have for you today. Thank you very much for watching. See you when I see you.